Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to brand first or die in today's session with Rich Kozak. Rich Kozak is the voice of impact-driven branding. After decades of languaging and launching brands, he founded Rich Brands specifically to serve heart-centered entrepreneurs and professionals. And his mission is to evolve individual brands with a foundation of clarity, longevity, and divine purpose. At Rich Brands, Rich guides individuals in elevating their unique gifts so their brand makes higher level impacts. The most connecting, deep listening, caring branding expert you'll ever meet personally. And he's guided to ensure each individual makes their most significant impacts on the world using the gifts they have been given. Rich is straight talk you can trust and deep experience you can count on with 47 years of defining and launching brands. And his message is to help you to find clarity for the impacts you will make and steps for the brand you will become. The first question is, what's the secret to your success?
Whoa, I would say the secret to my success is keeping my mind and heart open to God's will for my life. And that didn't come clear to me until late in my 50s. But the shift in asking, why am I here? And make sure that what I'm doing is congruent with your will for my life made a huge difference and continues to all day long. But for 55 years, it didn't. I was on the journey that got me here, and we're all on a journey. So, that was for me, and some people may hear that and turn off, but it's okay. Your day's coming. Thanks for asking. How's that? and this is for you if you're listening to this. One of the doors that we all get to go through is the clarity door about what is a brand. So, do you mind if I speak to that? I'll do it in 2 sentences. Here goes. And I'm speaking to you if you're listening to this. Your brand is a perception, but it's not your perception. It's the perception in the minds of those whom you most care to impact. It's their perception. So branding is all the things we get to do that shapes a consistent perception in their minds and that moves us strategically in the direction we know we want to go. When you think and let that land, a brand is a perception, but it's not your perception. You can talk to me all day long about what your brand is, and it doesn't matter what you say. It matters what they think. Okay, so we're shaping a perception here, and when you want to shift your level of impact, you have to shift the perception. So that's the starting point. That's the door. That's the gate. Okay.
Thank you. And what does it mean that you need to brand first or die?
There are many, many people I would expect, because of whom you speak to, a lot of them are listening to this podcast right now, who are already successful. They're in their 40s or 50s or 60s. I have clients who are in their 80s. They're already successful, but they know they're not done. They want to take it higher. They want to make a bigger impact. They want to reach more people or do new things. And they want to take their impacts to a higher level. They might even be guided spiritually. They want to be more connected to their divine purpose. And so they know they're not done. The challenge is nobody studies branding, and everybody, they don't think immediately, oh, well, it's branding. Many people think of it as branding as fake or disingenuous, or it's tricky, or it's advertising. Branding done right comes from your heart, when you want to make impacts. And when you're in that mind to take it higher and you know there's more, and you close your eyes and imagine whose life, whose industry, whose whatever you're going to impact and clearly see it, you can define the brand you must become to make those impacts and become it a lot faster. And it's not fake at all. It is absolutely authentic to you. So brand first or die means you want to make higher level impacts. You need to evolve the way your brand is perceived so that it's perceived capable of making those impacts. If you don't define and language the brand so that it evolves the way it's perceived, those desire for impacts might just die. Short version, brand first or die. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Authenticity is key to branding. And my question is, how can you allow yourself to be authentic when you are scared of who you are?
Oh, it's a trick question. Okay, no.
When I say scared, I don't mean that you're not doing anything bad. You're not dealing drugs or dealing with the mafia. I'm just saying, for example, you find that, let's say, you are very funny, okay, but you feel maybe you're not going to be accepted because, let's say, you want to appear as a loyal, committed, serious entrepreneur, and you don't want to, you don't want people to think you're just like a funny guy, you're just a comedian, but you want to integrate this humor into your brand in a way that you're attracting people who appreciate humor and appreciate you for your humor. And that way you're creating an authentic connection with entrepreneurs you actually like, as opposed to, let's say, you are pretending to be a serious guy and then you're attracting serious, entrepreneurs who don't appreciate your humor. That's like an example of what I mean by that.
Well, Lily, I will tell you, I appreciate the courage of your question, because I think it plays to the fear we all have. Many people have they're not as worthy as somebody else is kind of thought because of the way they've been raised, or they have, they're afraid that they'll be exposed as a charlatan, or that they're not as smart as, and so they think they need to, almost become something that they're not. And so thank you for asking the question. So here, I think the simple version to put you at peace is speak from your heart. And that's pretty simple. It's not as easy as it sounds, but it gets really easy. When you speak from your heart, here's what happens. And I'll give you a very specific framework from which to speak. Close your eyes, and I'm speaking to you if you're listening to this right now. Close your eyes and imagine a type of person that your work can impact, and you really want to impact them. Just picture them. Now, say to them, here's what I see for you. And paint a picture of that impact that you see your work having for them. What happens in their life, what happens in their results, what happens in their connection to spirit, what happens in their ability to overcome what happens in their past, or to release the weight of unhealthy life, or whatever it is. Here's what I see for you, and paint them a picture, and speak to them from your heart. They'll feel your heart. They'll feel that you care. They'll know you really see the picture. They might not see that picture. But when you say you do, you are now a magnet. That's what happens when you speak from your heart. When you speak things that are made up so that you get certain effects, it's like it's very possible that you come across as disingenuous, or as scripted, or as something that's not, and let's use the word authentic, real. But when you speak from your heart, it's you. Your life, your business will be a lot more fulfilling. You will attract much more easily. So let's take the humor angle, okay? So, end of paragraph, new paragraph about humor. You could be the funniest person on the planet. If your brand does not have to be funny to make its impacts, you don't play the funny card. If your brand must, like, let's say you're a comedian, literally, you have to be funny, right? Or where it falls flat. So yeah, you play that card. Or maybe a dimension of your brand is, let's say, fun. I have a client who just wrote a book called The Reinvention Mindset to help people who have something that occurs and shifts the direction of their life, and they get to walk themselves through a reinvention of who they are and come out the other side in a joyful, fulfilling life. Beautiful. One of her dimensions is fun. She says, if it's not fun, we don't do it. So fun and funny are two different things, but funny is a little bit of fun, to let your humor play out, to maintain your sense of humor about things that happen that are fun or things that happen that are awkward. But when we laugh at ourselves, and part of being a comedian is helping people laugh at themselves, which is okay. So you might use the ability to laugh at ourselves or the let's not take it too seriously in the brand language, but you wouldn't be doing jokes. Because if the brand doesn't have to be a jokester, it literally will work against you. Being clever, using tricky language, cuteness, all of those things are things that people do. It's so cute. Like get it? And it works against them because it's contrived. It's like thought up to be cute. And it's not the brand. It's not who you are. So you have to be careful. There are about 17 things that individuals do, say, that work against them, against their brand, instead of for them. And they don't even know it. They don't realize it. And I've been doing lives on these things because I do the Clarity Summit, and clarity about what you're doing, what you have to stop right now that's working against you is really kind of important. And people get like, oh, yeah. So, and humor is one of those double-edged swords. So thank you for asking. The basis of your question is about authenticity and being authentically you and being afraid to let the real you come out, not being accepted. You're you. I mean, let's take this up to, I'll do 2 more sentences and give you so much hope. It will fill your balloon forever. Here goes. There is a thing called an umbrella brand. And you have one. You just haven't defined it yet. And an umbrella, it's like an umbrella, has spokes, right? And each of those things that you've done in your life, you're a mom, own a business, you play cello, you speak a couple languages, you help people get sharper, better results on LinkedIn, you help people overcome the sexual abuse of their childhood, whatever those things are, there are your spokes. But that's not all you are. Even if the only thing you did is write a book on how to get rid of stress, you're not the stress person. You define the umbrella, and all of those things that are you fit. Instead of people saying, oh, women, I thought you were the stress person, but now you're helping people, change their, what? They look at it and they go, oh yeah, that fits. So there's an umbrella brand. The question is for you, what is that umbrella? Because that umbrella enables you to go to do what we all get to do, which is to live our lives, to make the highest level impacts, to create the highest level significance that we can in this life we've been given, and step into why we're really here. I mean, I don't want to get, well, I'll just say we're all here for a reason, and it's been baked into us by our Creator. So when we can get to it, praise God. So we all get to do that, to make the highest level impacts, the highest level significance on those whose lives we touch. That umbrella brand gets you there. And let's get specific. Books help you get there. Because I don't want to go in another second until we mention books, because it's very important. Stakes in the ground, and a book is a stake in the ground that moves a brand forward strategically. So I know I kind of turned the topic on you, but I think we're really relevant now. Did that help?
Yes. And how do you make sure that your ideal client avatar is getting the right, authentic messaging on your website, on your social media, and is fully aligned with the kind of client you want to attract and the kind of messaging that you are actually delivering to them?
That's a great question. How do we ensure that our target, I'll call it a target audience, because avatar means there's only one, and there's not only one. The way the world is, if I said, close your eyes and ask your heart, whom do you clearly see impacting? You might say, well, there's that couple that's about to retire, but then there's the new couple that just got married, but then there's the person that's single and then that they're 40s and they have a special needs child. And they could all be your target audiences because of what you do. So there's not just one. So here's the answer to the question. We start by writing down the impacts that we see our work having on each of those types of individuals. And what's in the thoughts that are in their mind relevant to what we do. So let's say it's about books. And there's a person who's in their 50s and they're successful in business and they kind of wanted to write a book, but they've avoided it. And they're thinking, I'm not a writer. I can never know. I really want to write a book, but I think it would be a waste of time. It takes so long. I'm so busy. I don't have time. Those thoughts that are in their mind, we write those down. Those are called care abouts. It's the things they care about that's in their mind before they meet your brand and let it in. One of the ways we make sure that our target audiences let our brands in, I'm going to give you two things. One is we use our number one message hierarchy message to overcome the number one barrier that prevents them from letting our brand in. And I'll give you a very specific example of that in a moment. The second thing is we use that care about language, those things that we believe are frequently play in their head relevant to what we do. We use those care about words, their brain language in their own voice to bait our marketing hooks. So they know we know what they're thinking. They know we feel what they feel. Oh my gosh, they speak in my language. Oh my God, they really understand what I'm going through. Okay, so let's take the first one, the number one barrier that prevents your brand, prevents your target audience, someone you clearly see impact, from even letting you in. I'm going to take one of my clients who's created she is a teacher for 30-something years, technically retired from teaching, but her vision and mission is to help create character and help parents to create character and confidence in each child. And she executed this in the classroom using national standards for character education, and she got really, really good at knowing what works. But it's in the classroom. She created books and proven tools for parents to help them in minutes a day create character and confidence in each child. Now, no matter who you are, that's got to resonate that that's a worthy thing. Whether you're a parent or a child or a cousin or you have nieces and nephews, whatever, it's like, or a grandparent. However, so what's the barrier? Wouldn't everybody want that? Well, when we discerningly thought about what would keep parents from saying, oh yeah, even those parents that would get all the scores right on a multiple choice as to what they want for their children, will say this. I mean, it sounds like a great program, but look, we got to get to soccer practice. It's the perception of no time. It took us a while to get to that. But how do you overcome that barrier? For us, number one message in the message hierarchy was today. In minutes a day, parents can build character and confidence in each child. It's the in minutes a day. It's like, oh, it's the perception of time. But in minutes, it's like, oh, they hear the value and they go, oh, if we didn't do that, if we just said, hey, character and confidence, it's really, really important. Yeah, I agree. It's really, really important. Look, I got 4 kids and they got 4 different, it's like, it's over. They bounce off. We've lost them. If we don't overcome the number one barrier with our first message hierarchy message, and I mean, where would that be? It's on the website, above the fold on the homepage. It's on the back of the business card. It's everywhere. Because if you don't overcome that barrier, they don't even let you in. That's why I said there's 2 things, and using the care about language that attracts them with their own head thoughts is really important. But if you don't overcome the barrier, you don't even get the chance. Hopefully that's helpful. I mean, that's from the department of I've been doing this for 47 years department. And it's like, you can take that to the bank. That's why people say, this guy is straight talk you can trust and deep experience you can count on. We're not making this stuff up. This is not like, my opinion. It is the way it is. You don't overcome that. There is a barrier. There might be multiple, but you've got to overcome the barriers or you don't even get a shot. I mean, you go to a website and if you don't connect, you'll never go there again. That's what I'm talking about. So, yeah. Welcome to the truth department.
What about colors and fonts? Are there any particular colors and fonts that repel your ideal clients and that attract them?
You're an amazing questioner because I thought you were using a trick question, but when you said that repel them, but so let's say this color. I mean, if I could wave a magic wand and you now learned all that we know about color and its effect on first impression effect on people. Why they use red on the end aisle of a grocery store. It's like, if you knew everything there was to know about color, you would realize that colors reinforce message. And colors have an association. People associate certain colors with certain feelings or certain in some cases, industries. I didn't mean to say that, but they do. And so the opportunity, and I'll take you right into the kitchen so you understand how this works. Okay. The opportunity, once a brand is defined and languaged, and we know what it needs to get credit for in order to make its impacts, then it's like, okay, what color palette, what assembly of colors do we use to help make that happen, to help ensure that the first impressions that people get are congruent with the impressions they need to get to make this brand successful? How do we use color to do that? I'm right at that point. We literally had a meeting yesterday with a client and a logo designer who is deeply trained in the application of color and typefaces and fonts. Okay. to create, to shape the impression that people get when they see colors and fonts. Okay. And so here you are, we're in the kitchen. Ready? Here goes. So when I'll give an example. So this brand has to do with wellness, but it's an overall wellness. It's a wellness in life. It's you're going from, you're all stuck in your career, and your next career is a life of unlimited wellness. That's one of the brand promises. And so because of the wellness and what's behind it, when you look behind the curtain of that brand, is it's all natural. It's things we do. It's not only, it's what you eat, it's what you do with your body, it's movement, it's mental fitness. It's all of these kind of things that you kind of need to balance out. So it's overall wellness, right? And it's natural. We said, well, we told the designer that, let's look at this as color palette possibilities. Green is perceived, it's natural because of the greenness of nature. Green, maybe even to green blue like teals because it's oceanic and so forth. But however, the brand is a consultant, it's a teacher. And so gray is a consulting color, and different shades. It could be light, it could be medium gray, it could be dark gray. It depends what the other colors are as to the gray you use, and the weight that you use to balance. How much gray versus how much green or whatever. And so we said gray for the consulting part of it, and then as a secondary color, there's a joyfulness about the brand, a welcoming, lighthearted joyfulness that brings that to the life of somebody who's late in their career and they don't know who they are. They think they're their job, and they're thinking, what do I do now? That thing, right? So that's light. She's also Christian. So we want light coming through the brand, not from the brand, but light. And so there's that yellow brightness, joy color. She also is a spiritual. So we said a secondary color might be the purple range for spirituality, but that's a little trite. Maybe even a magenta-ish, even a pinkish magenta, depending on how it plays with the other colors. Now, we give that input to someone who's trained in balancing colors on the color wheel. Some colors go really well with others. Some just vibrate against each other. It's like, let the people that are really, really good at that come back and say, here is a palette of colors, primary from the green area and from the gray area, and here's a light color that we can use as a background, and here's a palette of colors, and kind of this one's like, a big circle, and this one's a little circle, and it helps visualize how much weight these colors have. That's what somebody trained in that does, and they'll come back and they say, we recommend the palette, but you have these options. If you don't like this set, here's another set, and you talk about it. That's what happens behind the curtain. And so I'm doing this 47 years. I ran a high-tech ad agency. I've been involved in logo development. It has to work. And so getting it to work, you get into the mind of the recipient of how it's going to land. And colors have impression. I mean, that's a long answer to a short question, but it's a really important question. And people make trivial, well, I like pink. They make trivial, what they like, but it's, again, we're shaping a perception. It's not about what we like. It's about what the target audience must perceive for the brand to be successful. So with that mindset, defining and languaging a brand and then shaping its color palette, now it's time to create the logo. And you better write a nice, tight, creative brief that says it needs to have these words, it needs to do this, this is our target, because otherwise you could come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. And logos can do several things if they're really well planned and designed and aren't just, a creative, we called Fiverr and you said, I need 20 logos to pick one, that's not the way to do it. People, sorry, Fiverr. I mean, I love you, Fiverr, but don't do that. Does that help?
Yeah.
Great question. It's really common. And who could you ask that would give you that, that in the kitchen perspective? That's the right way to do it. And I've got to tell you, when it comes time to logos, you do it in black and white first. If it doesn't work in black and white, it won't work putting all the color in the world on it. So people don't even know that. They don't know that when you design, you say, well, I need this to stand for this metaphoric, and I need a figure that does this, and it's black and white. If it doesn't work in black and white, you don't even move on. You scratch the drawing board and start again. Yeah, and people don't know that. So
how did your awakening to your titanic power help you to build this global brand? And how can entrepreneurs awaken to their potential and create a powerful brand?
Part of that question is personal for me, and part of the question has to do with others. So we've covered a little bit. Okay, so my story, my journey, we'll call it that, is that I know now, with the benefit of many decades, that my journey has, my opinion, has perfectly prepared me to do the work that I do to help evolve individual brands with clarity, longevity, and divine purpose. It has perfectly prepared me. I know that now. I see it. And work feels like love. So I know that now. I didn't know that 20 years ago. And so I'll just say, I knew it when I knew it. That moment for me was, I'll be, you kind of know the story a little bit, but I'll do it in 20 seconds. So after decades of defining a language of brands, and I resigned an addictive career at a high-tech ad agency because I was doing all-nighters. And within a few years, individuals started asking me to help them define and language their brands. And I'm like, I don't do that anymore. And they reminded me I never stopped, that I sit around, I network constantly, and I share with people and coach them in their businesses and in their languages. I never stopped. I just didn't charge for it. And so I started helping individuals. And what I realized, and it came to me, actually, I was sitting in a choir loft in church, and I must have been listening to a message of some kind, and it came to me that helping individuals reach into their heart and write the impacts they clearly see making on other people or industries or whatever it is, and writing that down and writing the levels of impacts, that enables us to define the brand they must become to make those impacts. Reaching into their heart, because it just comes from them. I don't think it up. I don't tell them what their brand is. We help them get it down and language it. But it is they that's on papers, not me. So you'll realize in retrospect what your journey has prepared you for. I'll give you peace in that you're on a journey. and it is preparing you for whatever you're here for. The bad, the good, if you had to slug through the swamp or fight the bears or be, abused or, have a success or have a failure, it's all part of it. It's your journey, and it's preparing you for what you get to do. At some point, it will become clear to you. if you ask your creator to help make it clear, it will happen faster. A little hint, but that's, it's up to you. And our relationship with our creator is personal. However, we're here for a reason. So how can other people awaken to their titanic greatness? Number one, ask, what am I here for? Make sure, give me hints, show me what you want me to do. I'm ready. Talk to the source and ask. Number two, look back at what you've done and realize dots connect. Ask yourself, if I could wave a magic wand, forget the magic part. Magic is a bad word. If I could wave a wand and say, I'm making the impacts I really want to make, what does that look like? We all have an imagination. Literally, if I ask you, let's say you're moved to make movies. Steven Spielberg, when somebody becomes an Eagle Scout, sends them a letter and says, when I was in Boy Scouts, I looked at the merit badge list and went, movie making, that looks interesting. Really? Yeah. And he starts making, and it turns into Steven Spielberg. Okay, so some things we get attracted to, we feel a calling, even just a little tug. When you're called to, you're interested in something, imagine where that can go. Use your imagination. What impacts do you clearly see in your mind's eye making? You might already be making them. If you're 40 or 50, you might already be making them. But think about the higher level impact. What impacts do you clearly see making when you thrive at your next level? Everything is working. You decide to do something new, and it's working. You wrote a book. You better write a book. And people say it changed their lives. You create a new program, and everything is working. You can imagine that in your mind's eye. What are the impacts that you clearly see making on people's lives, or on an industry, or on a country? What are the impacts? Write them down.
Thank you. That helps. Conversation. Yes, that was a rich conversation with Rich Kozak from Rich Brands. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.